Hi, my name is Dr. Christine Harrington, and I'm delighted to talk with you today about how to design a motivational syllabus. Before I begin, I'll just share a brief bio about myself. I've been in higher ed for almost 20 years, working in the community college sector at Middlesex County College, first as a counselor and disability service provider, and then as a professor of psychology and student success, and also as the director of the Teaching and Learning Center there. Had an awesome opportunity to work at the state level for a couple of years as the executive director of the Center for Student Success, which was housed in the New Jersey Council of County Colleges. Most recently, I've just taken on a position at New Jersey City University as associate professor and co-coordinator of the EDD and Community College Leadership Program. In terms of publications, some of my key publications are the Student Success in College Doing What Works, which is a freshman or first year seminar text that is aligned with guided pathways and also has a level of academic rigor because there's a huge amount of research in terms of teaching students how to use and also learning about research-based strategies. And that is published by Cengage Learning. I have 2 books published by Syllabus. One is Designing a Motivational Syllabus, co-authored with Melissa Thomas. The other is Dynamic Lecturing, co-authored with Todd Zakrisik. And then finally, I also have co-authored a book with Terry Oros called Why the First Year Seminar Matters, helping students choose and stay on a career path. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin and talk about why the syllabus really matters. I want you to, the next time that you're getting ready to start a semester, I want you to really take advantage of this opportunity to look at the syllabus as a tool that can not just communicate expectations and, outline all the policies and key information that students need, but also really get them excited about your course, get them motivated, and provide them with a very clear path to being successful. So if you can start to think about the syllabus as a course design tool, it's really the way that you communicate the design of your course to students. So of course you want to lead with the learning outcomes because that is the purpose of the course. You want your students to know why are they taking this course, what is the value. That needs to be front and center. And of course, all of your assignments and activities should really be driven by those learning outcomes for the course. That, adds a lot of value and meaning to students if you can share the why behind the course. And I'll share a few other strategies you can use as well. I like to have my cover page be very visually effective and have some kind of image or graphic that is aligned to the course that I'm teaching. So for example, in the first year seminar course, I often have a picture of graduation so they can see the finish line and envision themselves really putting the cap and gown on and celebrating their accomplishments. In addition to that, you also want to consider adding a welcome or teaching statement. That often is not a part of many syllabi, and yet it is a great way to start to build a relationship with your students so they can learn, kind of what matters to you, share your background and experiences so they know what you're bringing to the table in terms of your expertise, but then share how you're planning to structure the course. That can be very helpful for students to know, well, if what do you believe in as a professor and how are you going to accomplish those learning outcomes that we just talked about a minute ago? So I want to share a couple of key studies that have been done on the syllabus that I think you can use so that you can think about ways to enhance the the way in which that you communicate information through your syllabus. So there was this interesting study by Harnish and Bridges, which was done in 2011. And what they did was they randomly assigned students to review either what they called a friendly or an unfriendly syllabus. And the 2 different syllabi were not dramatically different. I'll give you one example. In the friendly syllabus, it said, I welcome you to contact me outside of class and student hours. You can email me, so on and so forth. The unfriendly, which I actually do not think is very unfriendly at all, but maybe not as friendly, might be a better way to capture it, said if you need to contact me outside of office hours, you may email me at. So it wasn't like, they were saying, don't contact me, I can't be bothered, but just you could see the tweak in the language. If you need to, then go ahead and contact me versus I welcome you to contact me. And what they found when they analyzed the results of the study, and by the way, students were asked they thought they were evaluating an adjunct, okay? So they wanted to get some information about what did the student think about this particular adjunct. And the students who viewed the friendly versus unfriendly syllabus thought that the professor was more approachable, and they also thought that they were more motivated to teach. Now, there was one area, one finding in particular that I initially had a concern about because they also thought the course would be less difficult. Now, at first glance, that made me concerned because if the student believes it's less difficult, then they probably are going to exert less effort. And if they exert less effort, what's going to happen? But they're probably not going to perform as well. So since I usually have a very high bar with my classes, this was something that I was worried about. But it was actually interesting. It was at a first-year experience conference where someone in the audience had their hand up in the back of the room, and they were like, I have to say something. So, of course, I call on the person as I'm giving this presentation, and she says, well, what if they think it's not as difficult because they know that you are going to be there to support them? And I said, you know what, that's a really valid point. So at the end of the day, we don't know exactly how what we say translates into student perception of us, but we want to ensure students that we are going to be there and available to them. In fact, there was this really other neat study that shows that all you need to do is add 6 words to your syllabus, and those 6 words, students who viewed that syllabus versus the other one that didn't have these 6 words had all these positive outcomes. So let me share with you what the 6 words are, because I know you probably will spit it out, Christine. What are the 6 words? The 6 words were please, come, and talk to me. And this study was done by Perrin, Lyle, and Tucker. It was back in the 90s, 1995. So it's a oldie but goodie, I like to call it. But what they discovered is they asked students, how likely would it be for you to seek help from this professor? And in every single case, students who viewed the syllabus with those 6 extra words, please come and talk to me, were indicating a much higher, significantly higher likelihood of reaching out to faculty for a variety of issues, whether they got a poor grade on an exam, if they, had trouble understanding a concept, things of that nature. So we want our students to come and reach out to us, clearly, especially if they're having trouble or need some guidance. And this is one easy strategy that you can use on your syllabus. It won't take you more than 2 minutes to put it onto your syllabus. So there are some of those kinds of, kind of simple strategies that you can use. Another tip I like to share with faculty is simply adding a resource list of some of the key resources on campus that your students can utilize. You should be number 1 on the list, so they know how to reach you. But, making sure they know how to access the librarians, if there's tutors available on your campus, things of that nature that you think will be helpful to them as they're completing your assignments. And of course, all that information is always on the website, but drawing their attention to some of the resources that are specifically aligned to the task that you're giving, I think can add some great value. One other tip that I'll share with you is I like to add images. I told you already about the first page, but I like to, in addition to putting that on the front page, I want to ensure that my syllabus is easy for students to navigate and draws attention to different elements. So one area that I found that students often grapple with is how the different assignments piece together to make their final grade and the weighting issue. So I found that adding a pie chart that kind of shows them the distribution of how much these different elements count really does make a difference and can add some value for students. So those are a few of the tips that I have for you on how to design a motivational syllabus, what you can do to add some elements in the syllabus. I mentioned earlier that this should really be a course design tool. So let me speak for a moment more about why I believe that and how you can utilize the syllabus as a course design tool that will kind of map out the path for student success. So in the beginning, front and center, the learning outcome should be there so that the purpose and value are clear to students. And then as soon as you're, kind of have communicated that, students want to know what do they have to do to accomplish that. So outlining the different key tasks that they need to do, major assignments, and then showing them how they're linked. So I like to challenge faculty to think about maybe 1 or 2 summative assessments for the entire course, and then identifying formative assessments that link to that. In fact, in the first year seminar, that is one example of a course where sometimes I think we start to add so many assignments into the course that it becomes very disjointed from the student perspective, and honestly sometimes even from the faculty perspective. What is it that we're trying to accomplish, and how are these small activities going to get us there? Deep learning requires more significant time on task and more challenging tasks. So having 1 or 2 major projects with many assessments along the way are really going to help your students get to the finish line and be successful. So what you can do in the syllabus is help them see the links between all the different assignments, how they fit together, how they're connected to the learning outcomes, and explicitly communicate that to students. I think that's really powerful and important. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I am, really thrilled to hear that you're excited about modifying your syllabus and using that tool to motivate your students. And I'm sure that if you try some of these techniques and others that I talk about in my book, Designing a Motivational Syllabus, and at workshops that I do on this topic, then I think you'll be on your way and your students will really appreciate it. So good luck with designing a motivational syllabus.